Greetings, everybody. This is Serpentine451 here, and welcome to Fate Index, the show where we take a look at each of the heroic spirits, both good and bad, within the Fate franchise. Well, we're starting off again with a Lancer class servant. We have to finish off the 9 classes, after all. We'll get to an Archer next week, hopefully. But I chose to pick a Lancer, and since it's Halloween, what better Lancer to choose than the Lancer of Black himself, Vlad Tepese III, aka Vlad the Impaler, also known by another name, Count Dracula. Now, let's go back to Vlad himself. Vlad was a Wallachian prince back in the 1400s, who was the son of Dracul, and his father being a member of a religious organization known as the Order of the Dragon. Now, when his father died and he took over Wallachia, a lot of the history can be left to other great videos such as Cyan, among other lore-heavy videos. We're going to go into the nitty-gritty of what makes Vlad interesting as a character. Well, let's start off with Fate Extra's version of Vlad III, also known as a Lancer. Now, Vlad in Extra is very interesting, more of a crazed madman than anything else. That's because of one of the personal skills, because personal skills actually differ between the 3, yes, there are 3 interpretations of Vlad III. Now, this particular Vlad has the personal skill Innocent Monster, which corrupts the original heroic spirit with the more monstrous interpretation that they are known for. In this case, Vlad III is remembered because of Bram Stoker's character, Dracula, the most powerful vampire within the story. So, taking that inspiration, Vlad in Extra is more or less a vampiric version of himself, staying to the more insanity-driven powers of a vampire. The more disastrous power a vampire can present to an individual. So, and then the other personal skills that he has, that being, Battle Continuation and Divine Protection. Battle Continuation is a bit of a staple for most Lancer heroic spirits, the ability to basically take a lot of damage but able to fight another day. On top of that, the most defining one that we have to look at here is Divine Protection. Why does he have this skill? Well, that all goes down to his origin. You see, Vlad is a Christian man from an Orthodox church, like his father. And his father, the father's organization, the Order of the Dragon, was a Christian organization designed to fight off against the Ottomans. Now, what's interesting about that? Well, the Ottomans, or the Ottoman Turks, were Muslims. And with that, Vlad had a strong hatred for these individuals. They imprisoned him and his brother just because they wanted his father to pay tribute. So that was when his father decided to have a holy crusade against them. Well, their imprisonment of the young Vlad led to them creating the monster they inevitably fought against. And the other thing we have to take away from this version of Vlad is he's severely devoted to his master, Little Ronnie. And this devotion is kind of like his devotion to God, or devotion to his people. And you first encounter Vlad and his master in the 4th week if you were to save Ren, as opposed to saving Ronnie the 8th. Now, I might get into Extra a little bit more in the future, but suffice it to say, he's a very evil, manically evil character within this story. And what makes him so terrifying is his noble phantasm. Well, his version of the shared noble phantasm between the 3 interpretations of Vlad, Glitz originating from his title, Impaler Prince. Now, what makes his version of Glitz so different? Well, Bay, the Fortress of Impalement, is basically creating an area where he can summon many spears from the earth, and with a large version of his spear forming underneath a person that it's going to be impaled by. Now, the one thing that makes it interesting that it hits the opponent with such force comparable to the crimes that they committed within their lives. Say, for example, if, Lancelot was hit by this particular noble phantasm, he would be hit with the crime of adultery, among other things. Or, say, more evil heroic spirit were to be attacked by it. They would be hit with enough divine retribution to eradicate them from the earth. A pretty potent noble phantasm, I might say. Now, let's go to the one that will be more or less focused today. That would be the Lord Impaler himself, Lancer Black. Well, this version of him comes from Beat Apocrypha, whose anime adaptation is currently running in Japan right now. Now, the one thing we have to take away from Lancer Black is he's a very different character from his extra counterpart, in the fact that he's more regal, serious, and a capable leader, leading the Black Faction's servants to a lordly degree, even garnering enough respect for Darnik to bow to him, much like how Tokiomi bowed to Gilgamesh, which is very interesting. Now, the one thing we have to take away from this version of Vlad, that he hates the legend of Dracula connected to him, or that's stating his name, as he likes to put it. Now, I would like to read for you an excerpt of one of his noble phantasms, that being Legend of Dracula, The Succession of Blood. And this is a quote directly from Lancer himself. "What are you saying? I told you I wouldn't use that noble phantasm. Have you forgotten? I will die here. I will crumble away in death with regret. But that is the fate of the defeated, Darnik. I will never even consider using that and turn into an unsightly existence. Never, never. I'm not a vampire. I'm not." As you can rightly tell from this interpretation of Vlad III, he hates this particular version of Dracula. Although he doesn't show it to his fellow servants of Black, he would rip any copy of the book itself that is in his presence. Kind of an interesting character quirk, I might say. Now, the only reason he would never use this noble phantasm is because it stains his image, his reputation. He views himself, much like Extras Vlad, as a hero of Romania, or a hero of Wallachia, which he is. To a lot of Romanians, he's viewed as a big cultural hero. That's why he gets so much power from Romania, since he's summoned there. The most interesting fact about this is that, compared to the other servants, he would be objectively weaker if he was summoned outside of Romania. He gains this incredible power boost just because he was summoned in his home nation, much like if Heracles or King Arthur, or Arturian in this case, were summoned in their respective nations. And the interesting thing about his version of Tepese is its secondary moniker, the Lord of Execution. Now, what makes this version of Tepese so interesting? Well, it connects to his personal skill, Demonic Defender of the State. Demonic Defender of the State is a skill that allows him to claim territory as his own. Well, it's kind of like territory creation, right? Yes, in a way. But what makes it so interesting is that it connects to his noble phantasm, where he can summon his lance, or any lance at any given time, because of the skill, because he claimed the territory around him. He claimed the entire town of Tepese and some of the outside area to be his dominion. If you step into his dominion, he will impale you and destroy you. But what is the legend of Dracula as a noble phantasm? Well, it turns Vlad into his more, shall we say, demonic interpretation. thanks to Bram Stoker using Vlad Tepese III as a basis for Dracula, even taking the name of the Romanian prince himself. Turning him into a vampire is the lowest possible way for a great Wallachian prince trying to save his people from invaders. Although, that soon changes when you talk about the one in Fate Grand Order. Sharing the same appearance and design as the one in Apocrypha, this one is a Berserker class servant, automatically summoned with Legend of Dracula activated, and fully embracing the monstrous nature of being a vampire, or Count Dracula in this case. The other thing that we have to take from this is their version of Gliescley Bay. Well, its version of Gliescley Bay is actually quite different. It is known as the Bloodstained King Demon. Now, what's so different about this one? Well, instead of it being multiple spears coming from the earth, or in any sort of direction, thanks to Lord of Execution, Bloodstained King Demon basically erupts from Vlad's chest, creating a proverbial forest of spears, or much like a chest popper from the Alien movies. And that's horrifying. Now, shall we get to the stats of these particular heroic spirits, shall we? Alrighty. Well, you guys are in for a treat, because we're going with Apocrypha's first. Fate Apocrypha's version of the character, his alignment is lawful neutral, his strength is at B, endurance at B, agility at A, mana A, D luck, and A noble phantasm. He has magic resistance as his class skill, demonic defender of the state as his personal skill at EX, and his magic resistance is at B. And then his two noble phantasm, Gliescley Bay, which is an anti-army noble phantasm, at B, and Legend of Dracula, which is an anti-unit self-noble phantasm, at A+. Fun, right? Now let's get to Extra's version of the character. Now, Extra's servant stat's going to be drastically different compared to that of his Apocryphal counterpart. Now we have strength at B, endurance A, agility E, mana A, luck D, and noble phantasm C. And then we have his alignment as lawful good. Now that's very interesting when you really think about it. He views himself as a hero in a way, a hero of God, whereas Vlad in Apocrypha is more, he's neither good nor evil. He's for the law itself. And then we have his class skills. Magic resistance at C, drastically lower than the magic resistance that he has in Apocrypha. Then protection of faith, or divine protection, as in the mobile game. Then you have battle protection of faith is at A triple plus. And then battle continuation at A, and then innocent monster at A. And then Gliescley Bay, which is an anti-army noble phantasm, is at C. And now let's get to the final one, that being the Berserker version. And now, let's see here. And the Berserker version of Vlad the Third is A for strength, A for endurance, C for agility, B in mana, E in luck, and noble phantasm at A. Then we have his class skill, Man Enhancement, at EX. And EX meaning that it exceeds all levels of known Man Enhancement, meaning that he can have more faculties. But in one aspect, is he mad? Or wrong with power. Then we have his vampiric powers, or vampirism, at A. Battle continuation at A. Shape-shifting at C. And then we have his two noble phantasms. Gliescley Bay, which is the anti-unit noble phantasm, at C+. And then we have Legend of Dracula, which is automatically activated upon its summoning at A+, which is an anti-unit self-noble phantasm. Interesting, right? Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this interpretation of Vlad Tepes III within the Fate series. I thought about actually doing two other characters that have to do with horror and the Nosferatu or the Fate franchise. Interestingly enough, they are both summoned in Apocrypha, that being Frankenstein's monster and Jack the Ripper. What do you guys think? Do you think which interpretation of Vlad is better? Me personally, I like Vlad's interpretation in Apocrypha much better. He has a more commanding presence, and he has the ability to actually view himself as the cultural hero that he is. Until next time, everybody, this has been another servant cataloged for your enjoyment, and I hope to see you with the next character. Enjoy until we meet again.